G'day guys, it's Wesley here from Business Blessings. I just prepared this short video because I want to challenge you to do something this week. So I'm just going to share my screen, and I prepared a quick PowerPoint for you today. So 2 chairs. We're going to encourage you that during this week, we're going to call it a 2 chairs week. And I love this photo, and I probably stole it from somewhere I shouldn't have, because it's 2 chairs. One of them saying, "Can we talk?" And I want to say that, like, that's God's message to you. Can God reaching out to you saying, "Can we talk to you?" But it's also you reaching out to God saying, "God, can we talk?" And that's what 2 chairs is all about, which I'll explain a bit in a moment. So why are we doing this? Because our mission of Business Blessings is to connect you with God and others through profound strategies that help you to glorify God and to grow your business supernaturally. So one of the ways that we can connect you with God is teaching you how to listen to the voice of God for yourself. Many of you are facing difficult situations or situations where you don't know what to do or how to handle, but you know what God does. And I suspect this week, he wants to give you downloads that are beyond natural wisdom and natural understanding and natural knowledge. So that's what this week is about. So 2 chairs. So from Monday, the 20th of July to Friday, the 2nd of August, we're just asking you to set aside 5 to 10 minutes each day to simply ask God the question, "God, what's on your heart for me today?" So this is all based on a book called by Bob Beaudine called 2 Chairs. Some of you may have heard me speak about this before. Some of you may not have, but it's a very, very powerful strategy. Bob is one of the top sports and entertainment recruiters in the US. And I think this is one of the clearest and simplest books on how to hear the voice of God from a business perspective on the market today. So Bob frames his 2 chairs philosophy around 3 key questions. Question 1, does God know your situation? Well, of course, the answer to that is yes. God knows you and God knows your situation intimately. The second question for you, is it too hard for him to handle? And of course, the answer to that is no. Nothing is too big for God to handle. And the third question, does he have a good plan for you? Of course, the answer to that is yes. He does have a good plan for you. So the answer is 2 chairs, taking that time to sit and listen and have a chat with God. But it's more you listening than you chatting. And that's key to this week. There's a great quote in the book that says, once you meet with God, you will discover something amazing. You'll find that he does more than just listen to you. He has a plan, plans to prosper you, give you hope, and always shed light on your great future. But to know these plans, you have to stop and listen. So I want to read to you a quick testimony from 2 Chairs because it's very, very powerful. And it gives you an example of what can happen when you listen to God. So if you haven't actually read a copy of 2 Chairs, I encourage you to grab a copy of it or listen to the audio or actually even listen to the podcast I did with Bob Beaudine. So here's his testimony. I recently explained the 2 Chairs concept to my friend Bill, who was going through a really tough time. Given his unhappy state of mind, it was no surprise that he set up these 2 chairs the very next day. He was still in shock when he described the first meeting. It was wonderful, he said. It was as if God hugged me the whole time. So many people get the same type of love fest in their first 2 Chairs meeting. Up until then, my friend had thought God was mad at him, but now he knows better. The very next day, he woke up late and was rushing off to work when he looked back at the 2 chairs and felt God saying, "Bill, don't leave before we talk. I want to tell you something about the day ahead." Since the idea of talking to God was new to him, he thought, "Hey, am I saying that to myself? Because I just don't have time today." That's when he felt the nudge to go back and sit down, and so he did. He told me that he'll never forget what happened next. As soon as he sat down, God started speaking. Now, Bill wanted to make sure he told me that he didn't hear God audibly, but he could hear him speak clearly in his mind nevertheless. So when you first start doing 2 chairs, you don't know what it'll be like. Yes, he can talk audibly. He's God. But most know how the enemy speaks clearly in their mind. So for Bill, hearing God turn in this positive way was very comforting. God told him to prepare for some resistance on an important business proposal he'd be making just before lunch. And he thought that he should make sure to stop by his big boss's office first to review the presentation and ask him for his ideas and suggestions before the meeting. That was it. 60 seconds. and then he felt the meeting was over. Now, hearing message from God and his proposal would be met with resistance was not what Bill was expecting, and it was bothersome since he was not someone who likes change. He had been working on this project for over 6 months, and in addition to that, he hadn't talked to the president for several weeks, and he felt stopping by unannounced might be awkward, but he did it anyway. The president was glad to see him. They talked about family, and then he asked Bill how things were going. Bill told him that his big presentation was at lunch and wondered if he could give some thoughts on it. The president said, of course, and as he listened, he guided Bill toward one point that was actually the key for the upcoming year. He said not to talk about anything else, but to focus on that and to tell everyone else why it was important. Bill thanked him and then changed his presentation the next 3 hours to be laser focused on this one point. When the meeting began, Bill felt resistance from 2 of his colleagues, the 2 whom he had been confiding in on this project. He couldn't believe it. He thought to himself, holy cow, it's true, God knew. As he started to share the new version of the presentation, the president of the company stopped in to listen. Everyone in the room noticed when he entered. When Bill shared the one point that was key to the company from the back of the room, the president said, that sounds like a winner, Bill. And gave Bill's boss a thumbs up as he left the room. Bill's manager then stated that it was an idea that was well thought out and the project was a go. Bill walked out of the meeting thinking to himself, what just happened? Is it possible that God knew what was ahead for me? And if you would just stop and listen to him at 2 chairs, that 1 minute could make all the difference. He proclaimed, God is a ninja. And I agreed. I've actually been mulling over doing this 2 chairs week challenge for a while, but it really struck me on Saturday. We were doing the latest of our Unlock Your Vision workshops, which we've been doing all year. This one we had probably about half Christian, non-Christian in the room, which was just fantastic. But we still do the 2 chairs format, even though there's a high proportion of non-Christians there, because God wants to speak to you, whether you're Christian or not Christian. And there's many examples in the Bible of God speaking to non-Christians as well as Christians. I use some different terminology when I'm talking to non-Christians, but one of the key things that we need to be doing is teaching all people how to hear the voice of God clearly. So it was fascinating as I asked around the room. Some just God gave one word to. One lady, the word was acceptance, and she knew exactly what that meant, and she shared a pretty incredible story around that. Others, God gave many other things to them, but it was just very comforting for them to see God speak to them, particularly when they were in a workshop about looking for vision and looking for the future. So what is this 2 chairs 5-day challenge? Well, what I'm going to do is ask you to take 5 to 10 minutes each day. Ask God a simple question. What would you like to talk to me about today? Keep a journal of what God says. Have an exercise book or write it down on your phone, however it is. But keep a journal of what it says. Go onto our Facebook page at facebook.com/business blessings. And I'd love to just share each day under what did God speak to you about today. Share this challenge with others as well. Maybe during this week, get to read the book or download the audio version of it from Amazon. Listen to it on Audible, however it is, and at least listen to our podcast at businessblessingsradio.com and Business Blessings Radio, which you can subscribe on iTunes and Stitcher, and I'll put the link to that on Facebook as well. So it's very simple. I'm just asking you a very simple thing this week. Take 5 to 10 minutes to ask the question, what would you like to talk to me about today? And just listen to what he says. I know some of you need answers above and beyond human wisdom, human knowledge, and human understanding. And I sense that this week, God wants to give that to you as we take the time to quieten ourselves down and spend 5 to 10 minutes with him and just ask that question, what would you like to talk to me about today? And I look forward to hearing testimony after testimony about what God does in your life this week. Well, bless you guys. Thank you so much for taking part of this challenge, and I look forward to hearing what God does.